The first night in the woods is always the hardest. Every sound feels louder, every shadow seems alive. I'll never forget one trip as a teenager. My buddy and I went up to the Oyster Dome Bat Caves in Northwest Washington, just outside of Bow for the locals. In the hike up to the caves, we were stopped in our track when we heard a gigantic tree knock just up the trail. We stopped dead in our tracks and thought immediately, bear. We were young, dumb kids. Weren't afraid of black bears, so we kept up the trail. As we got closer, or as it got closer to us, we kept hearing those really loud tree knocks and leaves ruffling. Something big was up ahead. Our hike got progressively slower and more stealthy as we approached the source of the sound. To our horror, we snuck up on a gigantic squirrel, perched on a tree branch about 30 feet in the air, chewing on a massive pine cone and dropping its scales. We dubbed that creature Bear Squirrel and proceeded to spend hours spelunking in a much more dangerous cave system full of bat guano, gases, and tight entrances. Paranoia can mess with your mind in the wild. Unfortunately, the bat caves have been shut down permanently, but that bear squirrel still haunts my nights, and I know he's still out there. Tonight, in Among the Sierra Nevada, we step off the trail and into our first campsite, because sometimes the scariest things happen when you finally stop moving. Welcome back to Among the Sierra Nevada. This isn't just another indie devlog, it's an investigation, a collaboration, and a story we're building together. My name's Jack. I'm a dad of 4, and instead of letting my kids just play games all the time, I wanted to teach them how to make one. This project is about skills, storytelling, and building something lasting as a family. But here's where you come in. Just like the channels I love, How to Hunt, Missing 411, Sasquatch Theory, Haunted Cosmos, Ninjas of Butterflies, this isn't a one-way broadcast. You get to help shape the world. The story beats, the mechanics, even what we discover in places like this very campsite. It's up to us together. I grew up in Washington State, one of the hot spots for Bigfoot encounters. I've heard stories my whole life from friends, from classmates, even from people's parents. One of my classmates' moms claimed she saw a Sasquatch on her way to work on Lummi Island. Some people shrug stories like that off, but others know what it's like to live with that moment burned in your memory. And when I began to hear similar accounts on Steve Isdall's channel or Dave Politis 411 cases, it started clicking. These weren't isolated tales, they were patterns. This campsite is a reflection of that. Normal, ordinary, familiar, but set in a place where the line between safety and danger is razor thin. In-game, the campsite is one of the first safe spots you'll encounter. But here's the catch. It's not truly safe. This tent is your very first save point, and saving here works differently than in most games you've probably played. You can't save if your health isn't at 100%, and you can't save if your fear meter, what we'll call instinct override, is above 0. Instinct override tracks your paranoia. If it climbs too high, your character will lose control, sprinting for 60 seconds straight. You can steer where they run, but you can't stop them. If you fail to get clear of the danger, instinct override triggers again and eventually you'll pass out. That means even when you crawl into your tent, if your nerves are rattled, you won't be able to sleep. Every twig that snaps, every gust of wind, every pine cone that drops can spike your fear. And if you can't sleep, you can't save. The longer you go without rest, the higher your paranoia climbs. It's a vicious cycle. But the real surprise is what's waiting just beyond the firelight. And yes, we place something there for you to find. Actually, a few things. The upside is this. When you finally do manage to calm yourself and save, you'll wake up full of health. The downside is your first few nights in the Sierras will be rough, and that's by design. Games today are often too forgiving. When I was a kid playing that first Resident Evil, I'd lose hours of progress just because I couldn't find an ink ribbon to save.
Resident Evil.
That tension made every encounter matter. That's what we're creating here. If you've ever laid in a tent late at night, almost asleep, and then heard a branch snap just outside, you know the games your mind plays. That's the real world fear we want to connect to, where saving isn't automatic, it's earned. This is where I need your input. Should we start our game at the trailhead or begin waking up in the tent? As we get to the footprint and evidence collection system, I'll show you the first Bigfoot print you'll discover just outside this tent. But we need to know where the story should begin. Also, what should be at this campsite? A ranger's note? A journal entry about something stalking the woods? Strange claw marks on the tent? You tell us. Imagine waking up alone in the woods and finding a journal that ends mid-sentence. What would you want to read on that last page? Drop your ideas in the comments, and the best ones will make it into the game. And if you've had your own encounter in the woods, share that too. Maybe you've got a favorite Bigfoot encounter you've heard. The stories you leave here could end up inspiring what happens in this very campsite in among the Sierra Nevada. Back at the Bat Caves, it just turned out to be a darn bear squirrel. But I do know this. People all over the world have stories of encountering strange things in the woods, and the big guy himself. The next time you crawl into your tent, just remember something might already be watching from the trees. And the campsite is just the beginning, because from here, the trail leads to the lookout tower, our next stop on the scenic route among the Sierra Nevada. But before we get into the lookout tower, we're going to take a slight detour and visit the old cabin, abandoned. As with everything, things aren't what they seem, and this cabin is no exception. Some people are too afraid to go deep into the forest at night. Others can't anymore due to age, injury, or illness. In among the Sierra Nevada, we're bringing the forest to them. As you look out into this place of wonder, remember, sometimes the forest starts watching you back. Hit subscribe if you want to help shape the story, and comment your wildest Bigfoot theory below. We're not just making a game, we're building a legend.